Hello and welcome to Unit 3, Area Study 2, Human Resource Management. So onto the second one. Now this youthful picture of myself, and if you have to look at it twice, it is actually me. This is me at your age. This is literally my first day of university at London University, obviously in the United Kingdom. And I was at business school there doing a business and economics degree. And this was the story of how I just enjoyed and found a sort of a pathway for human resource management. So it was part of my second year where one of the modules was on human resource management, and it was a fascinating area. So I'm hoping you're going to enjoy it as much as I did. It then led to a 2 or 3 year career at Rank Xerox in Welwyn Garden City in London, doing human resource management. So I'll hopefully be able to share some stories about that as well. But this is a fascinating area, so enjoy the ride. So welcome to Unit 3, Area Study 2, Human Resource Management. A fascinating area, and this first topic here about how it meets business objectives. So from the study design, we can see here that the first key dot point is about this relationship between human resource management and business objectives. Now we've covered business objectives already in Unit 3, Area Study 1, so you're going to see a lovely recap and a link to stuff that you know already. So what is human resource management? When I studied it back at university, it was actually called personnel management. The idea being it was about managing personnel, managing people, managing employees. The title then evolved into human resource management, which is a bit of a hard way of expressing that, okay, these are humans and we're going to treat them as a resource and manage them to make them work harder and to work better. Today, it's sort of evolved a bit further, and sometimes you'll hear it called people and culture, but it's all based around the same idea. In the simplest terms, it's about an individual group who are responsible for managing the employee life cycle. So this is everything to do with the employee, from when they first join your company all the way through to when they leave your company. Now, looking across here, you'll see a few of these terms before if you've done Unit 1 and 2 business management. So recruitment and selection and induction was covered in Unit 2. So you may well have heard some of those terms about how you get people's CVs coming in, resumes, how you select the staff for the different jobs, how you induct them, welcome them into the business. So that's part of what human resource management is about, welcoming staff in. What we're going to cover is all this stuff here in the black. It's about motivating staff. How do you get your employees really fired up in the day to do the very best they can for your business? How can you train them in skills either that they need for their new jobs or skills that they're lacking in a bit and would make them a better employee? How can we track how they're going and improve their performance? When it comes to the end of that life cycle and they're choosing to resign or unfortunately be dismissed in some cases, how do we manage that in the best way possible? How do we deal with their pay and conditions, which is coming under the awards? And if there is a problem between our objectives and theirs, how can we manage that in the best way possible so we don't get disputes and anger and volatility? So all of those things is about managing the employee to get the very best out of them. The other part, as I mentioned before, is it's sometimes related to people and culture. You'll see people employed in people and culture talking about the same things. It's been about setting up a lovely environment in which people feel, okay, I'm inspired, I'm motivated, I want to do the best. So think of it in the simplest terms, it's all about the employee and maximizing, being really efficient and effective in getting the very best out of them so they can help you strive and improve your business. Now, this should look very familiar to many of you, okay? So this is the business objectives that we covered before in Unit 3, Area Study 1. So this is what the business is setting out to achieve. So we'll just do a quick sort of summary of this to put it fresh in your minds, and then you'll see how we're going to link human resource management to this. So obviously, businesses want to make a profit. They want to have more revenue coming in than the expenses going out so they can make a profit on the business. They may want to increase their market share to sell more products than their competitors and they have a more dominant position. They might want to meet what the customers need, and by doing that, they'll increase their sales. They might want to reach out further and fulfill a social need in the community, whether it be looking after charity groups or local community soccer teams and football teams, or doing something good for the environment. So a broader perspective. In some of the businesses we talked about before, the public listed companies and the private limited companies, they have shareholders. So meeting their expectations, what do they want from the business, which is often a dividend or return on their investment. We want to improve the efficiency of the business, how we maximize our resources and get more out of them, or to improve effectiveness, to achieve the goals we set, which may be on this page here, but might be broader than that as well. So remember that business objectives are the goals we're setting out to try and achieve from our business. So then how do these two bits relate? Okay, so on this side here, we're thinking, okay, human resource management, it's about managing employees, getting the best out of our employees. And we've obviously got some business objectives to achieve. So if you're an owner of a business or managing the business, you want to try and get the very best out of the employees to achieve the objectives. So there's a link there. Now, what we're going to try and do here is show that link and then draw it out a little bit more. So say you're writing a response for your SAC or for the exam at the end of the year. How do I get my full marks for fully expressing the links? And don't just assume that the assessor knows all about it. So let's take the example of a business running a bakery, maybe like a Tip Top Bakery or whatever your favorite Helga's bread is or whatever. And we're making loaves of bread for the market and trying to sell more of them over the time. How can human resources help improve the goals that we're trying to set for the business? So let's take these lights one at a time. First of all, let's tell a story. If we use motivation and if we inspire our workers and they're really passionate about the business and they get up in the morning and they go, we're going to make our best bread that we possibly can, then by doing that, we're going to improve the productivity, we're going to improve the quality of the products we're going to make. By improving the quality, then that's going to meet what the customers need, and we're going to fulfill the market need with a really high quality loaf of bread. Okay, so we're stepping this out. For the second one, training. If we want to try and improve and increase our market share, well, if we train our staff better so they can use the machines that we've got on our conveyor belts and our ovens, and we use them better, then we're going to produce better quality bread. If we produce better quality bread, then we're going to have a better reputation from our customer because they like our product. If they like our product, they'll buy more and we'll make more sales. If our sales are bigger than the rest of them in the industry, they increase market share. So we're stepping it out again. Take another one, performance management. So if we're going to be watching and seeing how our employees work and set them objectives to try and improve and that they get better at it, well, hopefully, if they get better at the job that they're doing, then they're going to meet our objectives and they're going to be more effective at what they do. So giving them feedback on how they're going and improving their performance. Equally, one of the big costs for a business is their labor. For some businesses, it can be 50 to 80% of their total costs and expenses is tied up in their employees. So sometimes if we're looking to try and reduce our costs, that might come from termination, voluntary redundancy, or looking at ways of downsizing the business. Termination management can be a process by which we reduce our costs of labor. When we reduce our cost of labor, our expenses goes down. If our revenue stays the same but the expenses go down, then we'll make more profit. Another one here, awards and agreements, which we'll cover in a minute, are about like terms and conditions, what you get paid, your wages, what you're entitled to, what you need to do. Now, clearly, wages, as I've just said before, is a major cost for a business. So if we can manage the awards and the levels that they're set at and the agreements we have with our workers, this might reduce the amount we need to pay on the wages. The expenses go down and the productivity goes up, then hopefully our revenue increases, but our expenses goes down, we make more profit. If we make more profit, then we have more money left over to give dividends to our shareholders. And by doing that, we will meet their shareholder expectations. Another one here. So if we're dealing with employees, well, sometimes employees get upset that they're not getting the terms and conditions they want, or the working environment's not to their liking, or they've been asked to do more than they expect, and a dispute might occur. Now, dispute is obviously time-consuming. It's going to waste time and money. Now, if wasting time and money, that's our resources. If we're wasting the time, then it's going to slow down the business. We're not using our resources effectively enough. If we aren't doing that, we're not being efficient. So hopefully you can see here that the human resource role about managing employees and getting the very best out of them is vital for a business. Sometimes seen as like a support function to support the role of the business and getting the best out of the employees. And by getting the best out of the employees, we can hopefully meet our business objectives. So there's a clear relationship between the two. Okay, so here's like a worked example of how some of this information might come up in an assessment or the end of year examination. And it's going to draw together a few things we've learned already. It's going to be talking about skills. Okay, so we've heard about skills in Unit 3, Outcome 1. And we'll be thinking about the skills a human resource manager will need during a period of a store or closure. So if you think when we're closing down a business, when we're closing down a factory, it's going to be an upsetting time for employees. Have I still got my job? Okay. Am I going to be relocated? Will I still have some security in the future of what I'm heading to do? My status is being damaged by that. So it's a very troubling time, and human resources in managing employees need to be managed in that really carefully. What's a possible skill we can use here? Well, clearly communication. Telling staff what's going to be coming along and how they're going to manage that role can be really important. If we think and break this down, we've got an explain skill here. That's our terse word. And if we take it from here, explain, we're required to draw out. It's more than outline. It's more than describe. Explain is that deeper understanding. We're going to link it to this scenario here. Okay. So about the human resource manager and what they can do. So we need to provide some detail. So one, yes, we've got to clearly identify the skill. Now we're going to describe it, and then we're going to link it to this situation here of the store closure. I'll read along with you a little bit here. So the dates people are being made redundant and outline processes being undertaken before closure affected by the change. As it's a significant change, it could affect hundreds of employees, obviously, depending on the size of the business. Being able to deliver information appropriate to staff is crucial. The human resource manager should be adept in all forms of communication, whether it's verbal or through written correspondence, as the length and complexity of information may vary. It's a troubling time. If we communicate properly and give employees a lot of knowledge about what's going on, hopefully we can go through that period of closure a bit more smoothly. And so hopefully there you can see how you've drawn out a very simple response into something that's going to get the full 3 marks for an explain. Here's a nice summary, hopefully, of all of this content put together. In essence, human resource management is about managing employees, getting the very best out of your employees, supporting them, motivating them, training, giving them objectives to achieve, managing that whole relationship from the employment life cycle, from recruitment all the way through to termination. So that's what the human resource manager's role is to do. And obviously, having the employees performing the best will lead to us achieving objectives, whether it be to be more motivated and fulfill a market need, or by reducing the expenses that we spend on labor and therefore allowing us to make better profit, or to be more efficient in the way we actually work through training programs so we produce more products within the same amount of time. So lots of connections between the two. Roles and responsibilities of human resource managers is to improve the employees to achieve the business objectives. And so the next lesson is going to be on theories of motivation. How do we motivate our employees to perform better? So I look forward to seeing you then.